Yeah, thanks, Kurt Kruger. I guess, isn't it a little disingenuous to promise the voters of this state a maximum 1% increase when in reality the utilities have very limited control over the cost of wind power? I mean, there's the cost of capital changes, you know, the quality of the wind is going to change from place to place, economic conditions are going to change. They have very limited control over that, but you're promising 1% rate increase.
Well, we're not so much promising a 1% rate increase as saying if meeting this proposal's requirements would cause rates to go up by more than 1%, then we would say that we should go slower. The language says if they can't do it within the 1%, they can demonstrate that and go slower. It's explicit in the language.
We're scheduled to adjourn in 10 minutes, so let's take 2 more questions. We still have a presentation.
I was just Jim Evans, Joyfield Township. I was wondering on the ballot language specifically says clean energy. Could you define that, and will that be defined for the voters?
The definition that we are using is this sentence right here: clean renewable electric energy sources which naturally replenish over a human rather than geological time frame are wind, solar, biomass, and hydropower. That's the full extent of the definition that would be in the Constitution. The legislature would be free to legislate additional detail in that definition.
Let's take these 2 questions here and then move on to the next presentation.
Hi, Kevin Martis again, IICC. I informally represent a lot of the people in this room who are sometimes tarred with the word NIMBY. This is a good place to maybe have this discussion, particularly in light of the fact that we have some utility representatives here. I hope you understand that the people that we represent are not anti-utility. We're not anti-energy. In fact, we're a pretty bipartisan group. Many free market conservatives, some environmentalists on the left side, but in general, we share a desire for energy policy that's driven by science rather than by lobbyists. And we fully support DTE's effort to oppose the 25%. But also understand, we know that some of the utilities have seen our representatives on the front lines in our own townships. When it is your own backyard, when it is your friends and neighbors, and when we don't possess the resources of, in our case, if Mr. Doomery is listening in, we were opposed by a Fortune 100 company with virtually unlimited resources. Tactics and techniques are used to bring people into the process that we would have much rather had a civil discussion about. It was not our preference. We also understand that though the utilities are content with the PA 295, they were not excited about it particularly, and certainly not excited about a 25%. My point is, we understand, to a degree, all of us are somewhat reluctant players in this game. But that's not to say the people that I represent are opposed to energy or to utilities in general. Many of us are very excited about gas, very excited about nuclear, and many of us don't have much of an issue with our existing coal technology as it's currently deployed. We feel it's reasonably clean and it gives a good cost, a good benefit to ratepayers in exchange for the cost. So as you look across this room, understand you have many more allies here than you may anticipate. And I would, as I emailed you a month or so ago, I would very much like to sit down with you sometime and have lunch, Chuck, and we could talk about some of these things.
So is it a date, Chuck?
How can I say no to that?
Hi, Dave Grattain from Hillsdale County. I had a question regarding jobs. We talked here about renewable energy standards. I think there are about half the states that have renewable energy standards, the other half do not.
Yeah, it's very close to that.
Mackinac Center, who did a study on this, found out that the states that do not have renewable energy standards have energy costs that are approximately 40% less than the states that have renewable energy standards. We're talking about increasing the standards higher yet. And what I've seen in the studies that have been done worldwide, Spain, for instance, did a study where for every green job they created in manufacturing and so forth, they lost 2.3 jobs in the private sector because everybody leaves. all the businesses leave. Just want to have your opinion about that.
I've seen the Mackinac Center study. I would just say the cost of energy varied across the states quite radically before there were any renewable energy standards. So you have to look at this in context. If you look at the change in rates over the last decade or so as these standards have gone into place, there are some states with renewable energy standards where rates have gone up faster than average, some where it's gone up slower than average, and similarly for those that don't have renewable energy standards. The net, if you really add them all together, is the renewable energy standards do not appear to have caused rates to go up any faster than they would have otherwise. Now, there's all sorts of detail in there. It depends on whether a particular state uses coal or gas, or whether they have geothermal resources, other kinds of things. It's a very complicated picture, so it's really hard to parse out. And I'm not, suggesting that Mackinac Center was being unfair. I just think it was an incomplete analysis. As far as the jobs go, I only represent these as the direct jobs that come from the policy. If you look at what the alternatives would be, none of the utilities are proposing at this time to build coal, and DTE building a nuclear plant seems a very long way off at the present time. So what they would be building would be gas, and the jobs associated with gas plants are a little bit less than with these renewables, but still in the same magnitude. So I'm not wanting to misrepresent that at all.
We should really move on to the next presenter. Thank you, guys.